Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Jonathan. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, tier lists, rankings, video game playthroughs, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And I'm going to title this a bit differently. I'm going to title it Revisiting Hulk from 2003. Just because. But thank you, Jonathan, for the request. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your patience. I really appreciate it. And thank you for requesting this movie because I definitely was curious to watch this again. And this is a film that I do enjoy. This is a film I do like. Now, bit of a history with this film. I saw this in theaters when it came out in 2003. I think when I saw it, I was kind of in the middle of it, where I was expecting more of an action, beat 'em up movie. You know, it's the Hulk. I want him to break things, smash things, punch things. Understandably so, because you think of the Hulk, you think of Hulk smash, and of course later there'd be video games and all sorts of stuff. And I remember thinking in the theater, okay, there's merits to this. I really enjoy when the action occurs, but I wasn't 100% sure on my feelings on it. And then time goes on, and I watch it a few times. I watch it on Blu-ray, and I'm like, you know what? This is my favorite. It is my favorite interpretation of the Hulk. Now, if we're talking Bruce Banner, I'll give it to Bill Bixby. Rest in peace to him. But as for the Hulk, I didn't grow up with the TV show like other people did. I had seen the movies, like the one with Daredevil and the one with Thor, where he's drinking all the time and stuff. But I didn't grow up with the TV show. Now, throughout the years, and thanks to people out there, I've seen episodes of the TV show, and quite a few of them I've liked. So I do appreciate and like the TV show. But other than those old movies, which I haven't seen those for forever, I'd like to give those a watch sometime. Was it The Trial of the Incredible Hulk? I think The Incredible Hulk Returns. It's been a long while since I've seen those. I know there's Death in Incredible Hulk, but I never watched that because I didn't want to see him die. Which I know the point was, well, he wasn't really going to die. They were going to do more, but then Bill Bixby's health declined sadly, and that was that. But anyway, those other two, Incredible Hulk Returns and Trial of the Incredible Hulk, were the only ones I had seen of Hulk until the 2003 film at the time. But yeah, when I watch it again, I really appreciate what Ang Lee was doing. Now, Ang Lee is not really known for doing this type of film. Of course, he would do Brokeback Mountain. He would do Gemini Man, which I was not a fan of Gemini Man. He did The Life of Pi, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I wouldn't say I'm gun-ho about his movies, but I would say this is my favorite film of his. Because I do think this is a very interesting movie that's a bit deeper than people gave it credit for. I think it's a bit smarter than people gave it credit for, including myself when I first saw it. And I do think that it really does a great job interpreting the angst, tragic soul of the Hulk. And what I mean by that is to really delve in. I like the take that they did on it, dealing with trauma and hiding, even not, maybe not on purpose, but this trauma that gets buffered into the back of your brain that, unless you have some good heaping of therapy, could come out in a lot of dangerous ways. This repressed memory of trauma and how that's interpreted with the Hulk mythology, I thought was actually a very interesting take on it. Maybe some people who grew up with the Hulk would not like that because that wasn't part of his origin. It was just the gamma radiation. But I didn't read the comics. The only time I read Hulk was when he was in a Spider-Man comic because I was a Spider-Man, Punisher a little bit, maybe some Ninja Turtles. Like those were the comics I read back then, but not too much of the Hulk. I knew of him, of course, but I didn't read a lot of his comics per se. But I love the idea of taking, okay, his father is doing DNA, doing research on DNA, uses himself as a test subject. And of course, he's with a lady. Eventually, she gets pregnant, and it gets passed down to his son, Bruce. And so he'll do stuff to make him cry, to test on it, which at the level is a bit of abuse. Until one day something happens, we find out. You pretty much gather what it is, but you find out later eventually what it is. And spoilers, this is a film from 2003. So, sorry for the spoil film that's over 20 years old, but tough. You find out that Bruce, played by Eric Bana, has had this repressed memory of his father accidentally killing his mother. Because the father was going to try to kill him. Because he had lost his job, he was going to do this thing and take revenge, and then he wanted to fix his mistake, so kill this kid. Of course, the mom tries to stop him, and then he accidentally kills her, and he's so horrified, he's kind of frozen there, while the boy watches his mom pass away. And it looks like she goes outside to just try to find help, something, anything. But that's repressed, that trauma. And then as time goes on, he's a guy who has his feelings repressed, doesn't really react a lot. He tried to have this bit of a relationship with Jennifer Connelly, whose father is Thunderbolt Ross, played by Sam Elliott. And then one day, one of their colleagues get ready to get fucked up by gamma. Bruce saves him, takes the hit, and the gamma radiation pretty much charges and mixes with his DNA to create something new, which is the Hulk. Now, it does take its time. It's definitely not an action-packed movie, which I think helped hurt it at the box office. It didn't do that great. That's why you never got sequels. And I mean, at the time, I can understand. Because people were wanting and expecting more of this action. A bit more what they got with the Edward Norton film. But I think especially when you look at how so many superhero films follow this typical formula. A formula that just tiresome to see. And it's not even implemented that well nowadays. Especially when you see how the Hulk is nowadays, played by Mark Ruffalo, Mark Cuckold. Who's a dipshit in real life. And the Hulk is just this pansy ass, pussy ass, bitch ass. Take some selfies. You want some breakfast tacos. She-Hulk is better than me. I'm a pansy to my cousin She-Hulk. She-Hulk is an annoying bitch now. All the stupid shit they do with the Hulk nowadays, where he must be in a fucking episode of Family Matters. He must say, "Did I do that?" That's what the Hulk is. Fucking Steve Urkel. And he's a fucking idiot, and he's a loser, and he's a pansy, he's a pussy. And then they want to put him in the new Spider-Man movie? Yeah, so he'd be a jackass in that movie. It's like, well, we gotta breed the Hulk to be dangerous again, so we have I'm guessing the new Spider-Man movies don't have Spider-Man and Punisher go against the Hulk. It's like, really, now you don't try to make the Hulk a badass again after he's been a pussy for so long? Good luck. God bless you, man. Good luck. Mark Ruffalo ain't doing it. What was his special effect? Well, again, his Hulk. Anyway, that's a whole other tangent, whole other video. But you go back to this Hulk feels dangerous. It feels like this Hulk could get the fuck out of Thanos. Okay, you know how Hulk got his ass kicked by Thanos in those Avengers movies. This Hulk could kick the fuck out of Thanos and give him a kick in the face and a foot up the ass. Because you see how angry this motherfucker gets, and the more angry he gets, the bigger he gets, the higher he jumps, the more badass he gets. And when it does happen, and he goes hard as a motherfucker, he goes ham, it's pretty satisfying. But I liked Eric Bana. I liked his performance. I liked how, the most part, it's subtle. I liked Edward Norton's performance in The Incredible Hulk as well. But a lot of people down, and they kind of forget about Eric Bana. And I don't think he deserves that. I think he did a rather good job really showcasing that inner turmoil, that something's not right, but he doesn't quite know what it is. Jennifer Connelly is my favorite. I always forget the character's name, but it's my favorite version of that character, because I didn't quite buy. I mean, Liv Tyler was okay, but Jennifer Connelly, I bought her and Eric Bana's relationship more. And Jennifer Connelly, just something about her just seems more mature in a good way to me. And I just felt a bit more emotion in their back and forth and their camaraderie. And I just felt more with that relationship in this film compared to The Incredible Hulk. And then they pretty much forget about all that shit when Mark Ruffalo comes into play. And then they try to like push Liv Tyler kind of in Captain America Brave New World. I'm like, okay. I don't buy this. She was barely there, like her CGI. So, well, how the fuck they did it? Anyway. I like Danny Elfman's score. I think it fits the film fairly well. I know people hate the editing. I am the opposite. I adore the editing. I think the editing is so creative. I know people say it's distracting. No, to me it makes what could be typical scenes in any other film more interesting, because I just marvel at the techniques. The split screens, how Bruce could be holding a picture and then the picture comes alive and we're into the next scene. The comic book panels to make it feel like a comic book movie. To me, that's unique. People say, well, yeah, they don't do it in other films for a good reason. No, I feel the opposite. That's what I love about it, because no films do that kind of stuff. And it's so unique, and it just makes it so much of a different experience. Believe it or not, I don't want to watch the same fucking thing over and over again. Believe it or not. And I know people say, oh, with these sequels, they do something different. Yeah, different and shitty, and that's subjective. And I'm talking about like stupid plot points and making xenomorphs fucking doggy pets, Blue from fucking Jurassic World, making predators fucking assholes, bitch, Whoopi Goldberg looking motherfuckers with goddamn androids that won't shut the fuck up. That's not my kind of different. The way this is edited, that is my kind of different. So I love all the techniques, whether it be the one scene where the scenes keeps turning like a tube, or how when the Hulk is getting out of the lab and then the split screen with Sam Elliott, then it goes to this screen when the Hulk is doing this, or when he first goes crazy in his lab, he'll be ready to turn this thing, like pull this thing out of the wall, but it goes to the 4 screens, so you see in 4 different cameras, 4 different angles of how he destroys this particular thing. One incredible edit is when he escapes from the compound in the 3rd act. There's this bit over here where he breaks out of the wall, but then it shows him literally breaking through the screen. And it's like, yes, the Hulk has arrived. He's literally broken through the goddamn screen, through the picture itself. He has arrived, and that's where you get, the best scene in the movie. Where he's fucking up tanks and helicopters, all that stuff. Like there was a statement, I've arrived, motherfuckers. So I love the editing. I love the way it's done. It's just cool to look at visually. And each time I revisit, I'm like trying to remember, oh, okay, they don't do this, they don't do that, they don't do a split screen here, they don't do this here, we don't fade into here. Like with Josh Lucas's character, I'll just say his death scene still makes me smirk in a good intended way, because that motherfucker deserved it. And again, it doesn't make the Hulk a pussy. Quite the opposite. Which is hard to see nowadays. Just watch any episode of She-Hulk. Watch any of the new Avengers films. He's just a fucking pussy. But anyway. But yeah, I like Eric Bana. I like that he plays for the most part subtle. Again, for the most part. Once in a while, like there's that one bit where it's like, I heard my heart going boom. Boom. I don't think you need to do that. That was a bit goofy. Boom. Like, I don't take idea. I know what a heart sounds like. You don't need to boom. Yeah, you sunk my battleship. I don't need to hear that. But I like Eric Bana and Jennifer Connelly's back and forth. I think they make a good item. I think they work well together. I love the zooms and the cuts and splits. I mentioned the editing. I adore that. I don't mind it looking like a comic book. That's different. That's unique in a good way to me. It's visual storytelling. I think Ang Lee does it very well. There's a bit where Eric Bana and Jennifer Connelly are working in the lab, and then it shows a split screen. Then it shows him kind of looking over, and then it kind of goes into the computer over here to tell the story that he's looking at Betty. That's her name, Betty. And it's okay, that's a neat way of just telling the story that you may have seen multiple times in other superhero origin stories. And Sam Elliott is a very intimidating Ross. No disrespect to William Hurt, rest in peace to him. I thought he did fine. But this Thunderbolt Ross was intimidating as fuck. This guy I buy with the name Thunderbolt. When he did in Eric Bana's face and he's like, if you come within 1,000 yards of my daughter. I'm like, you got it, dude. I'll leave her alone for 1,000 years. Don't. I love Sam Elliott. He's a great actor, and he's an intimidating motherfucker when he gets that pissed. He has that voice and just that. I buy him as Thunderbolt Ross. Much, much more so. Nick Nolte, I don't mind. Some people are unsure about his performance. Yeah, there are times he's a bit dramatic, to say the least. But at least I don't find him boring. And I do think he's a good actor. And I like the fucked up story about this father, just how much he abused and treated his son like shit, and the underlying context of that, I think, makes the story a bit richer. Josh Lucas, he does fine here. When they try to make him a lead in films like Stealth or Poseidon, it's like, yeah, he's not a leading man material, but he's fine here as this slimy asshole who wants a bit of this research because his company wants to make super soldiers and such. And then when they capture Bruce, he fucks over Sam Elliott to take over the base himself with some pretty bad results. And again, like when I first saw it, I think a lot of people, when they first see it, they just are waiting for the action. They're like, where's the action? So you get like the little bit of trash in the lab. It's very brief. But I do like when he takes the big ball thing and throws it. Thought that was fun. I like that it's not just wall-to-wall CGI. There is CG, but they also use practical when they need to and when they can. So pieces of the lab are breaking apart. A lot of that is practical. Not all of it, but a lot of it is practical. They use CG as a tool, but when they do it practical, they do. And I appreciate that. They don't do that shit nowadays. There's a lot of shit they could do practical, and they fucking don't. They just go to the CGI, and they make everything CGI. You don't have to make everything CGI. You make this part as an enhancement, if you need to, but all this stuff you could build practically. Like they did here in 2003. You do in 2003, why can't you do it now? But hey, what do I know? So you have that little action bit. You have the bit where Josh Lucas is pissing him off, and he gets angry in the house and kicks him out of the house, and he's breaking apart the house. You see this bit of that practical that he goes to rescue Jennifer Connelly from those dogs. I don't mind the dogs. People get pissed about the dogs. They're goofy. They're silly. I get it. It's a silly concept. Mutated dogs. Like, that's the best he got for the Hulk to fight. I get that. But I don't mind the scene. I don't mind him fucking these things up and doing the haymaker, and you see this explode. Because it can't be red blood, because it would be fucking up the rating. But this green blast, and he's smashing through trees and smashing through windshields. There's as much visceralness, I think, that you get away with and still keep the rating. Would I like to eventually fight actual creatures? Yes. That's why I wish we could have seen this Hulk in an actual sequel, which I guarantee you that's what it would have been. But sadly, the box office didn't showcase that. That is how it is. Well, I played the Hulk video game with Eric Bana, and I'm not big on the game gameplay-wise. I did like that the game had like a lot of different types of villains. I'm like, you know what, if you had this kind of stuff for a sequel, like these different villains, I'm like, that could have been kind of cool. But eventually he's taken to the base and he's not experiment, but he's held there. Josh Lucas takes over, fucks over Sam Elliott. They try to get him mad again because they want to do tests on him. I think this is when he remembers what happened to his mom. He gets super pissed, which I'd be super pissed too. And he's like, fuck all yeah, and he breaks out. And that's when, from then on, very lengthy scene, that's the best part of the movie. I think it's the best thing of anything Hulk-wise, Hulk-related, is from beginning of the scene to the end at the San Francisco. It's the best scene of any Hulk media I've seen. You could disagree, but you just see how powerful he is. You see the bullets ricocheting off the skin. And I believe it is a power in the comics that the more pissed he gets, the bigger he gets. They try to put the foam on him, and he's trying to drill into his head, and Hulk's like, you mess with the motherfucker, man. You mess with the wrong guy. He gets bigger. George Lucas tries to hit him with the missile. It bounces off him, and he blows himself up. And the way that's edited still makes me laugh, and I think that's done on purpose because that motherfucker deserved it. And when he's picked up the big cylinder, he picks up this big thing and throws it like a frisbee. And a lot of good practical usage in there. And then I still wow, like, whoa, that's cool. At the scene when he gets up, number one, the edit I was doing where he breaks out, and you see right here, tiny. And then, boom, he literally breaks out of the scene for another transition. I'm like, wow, that's really clever. That's really creative. And then he's on the base, and you have that explosion, he flies back. And they unleash, 20 missiles, and he jumps. And just the fact that they did it where it was silent, and you just hear the wind as he flies, and you go, oh shit, look how far he's going. That really shows how powerful the Hulk is. He could jump that far. He could run that fast. He's bouncing missiles off. With the tanks, he fucking swings one miles away. He rips a top off and blocks it. He beats the shit out of one. He bends one. Fire yourself so you blow your ass up. That's a first the bit where he taps the thing like a baseball bat. And then he takes the thing like, fuck you. That's like his fuck you moment. He bends that cannon, that turret to face them. Go fuck yourself. I thought that was still funny. And then the helicopters, he's grabbing on one and ready to suplex it. He bites the tip of a fucking missile and spits at it to fuck up one helicopter. How is that not badass, man? I think people go, they wanted more of it. I can understand that because that's one of the issues I have is I do wish there was more action. If there was one or two decent action, like one or two more action, if there's two more action scenes, we saw a bit more of what he could do earlier in the film. I think that could have helped a bit. Or maybe if the ending, if there were maybe two threats, if there was a physical threat that he could demolish and break in this Bane fight, and then have the more mind spiritual battle, I think that could have helped as well. And one of my favorite bits of any Hulk anything is when he's on the fighter jet and they're trying to get him up high altitude to make him pass out and he falls. Eric Bana has that nightmare where he's rubbing the mirror because there's so much mist on it. And as he does, he sees the Hulk. And you have this like sound effect music. Like, oh shit. And like his hand is the Hulk's finger. And it breaks through. Puny human. I love that moment. I thought, man, that could have really gone a lot of directions in a sequel. Where he wants to be helping, but the Hulk, maybe there's something else to that. You ain't good enough. There's so much you could delve into that, but they didn't, Sally. So ultimately, Betty calms him down, and they recapture him again. Ned Nolte gives himself up, and he says, "I want one moment with my son." Now, granted, they make this thing where supposedly any wrong move, they can incinerate them. I will say that scene with Ned Nolte and Eric Bana where there's really no environment, they're kind of just sitting in chairs. I always thought that scene was a bit awkward because it always felt like a play where one's yelling and the other's yelling, and then Ned Nolte is like making fun of him. Wee. There's parts of it I don't mind, but something about it just seems awkward. Like it's just now it's like two people trying to do this just play. I don't know how to word it. Something about that just felt awkward to me. I don't know if it's sometimes getting a bit too melodramatic now, a bit too over the top. And by this point, I didn't mention Ned Nolte has messed with his DNA, and he's now at first he's pretty much the absorbing man, which you sadly don't get to see him use his powers a lot. He fucks up one security guard, which I thought was unique. I like the effect where his hand is in the rail, merged with it. I thought that was actually a cool looking effect. To this day, I still think it looks pretty cool. And then because he merges, he can lift it and squishes the security guard pretty much. But too bad we didn't get to see him do more of that. But then he becomes this electrical figure, which I do think was a really cool visual when you taste the Hulk and you see the kind of glimpses of them in the clouds. I do think that looks really cool. And then he becomes like made of rocks, and then he becomes made of water. I don't know how, like if I don't know how you maybe if he was just a physical threat at first, and then Hulk had to beat him down and defeat him. And once he defeated him, then he became more of this figure. I mean, I don't know. Or, I don't want to say you need a second bad guy, because that could overcomplicate it. It sounds stupid, but like maybe if Josh Lucas worked with Nick Nolte, like they have a mutual understanding, but each one have their own selfish goals. And then maybe Josh Lucas became the absorbing man, and then they both have like a fight, and he defeats him, kills him, destroys him, and then have Nick Nolte be the, or maybe they both have the power, but while Josh Lucas uses it as more of a force, and then he's able to defeat him physically, Nick Nolte uses it smarter, so he's not so easily defeated because Josh Lucas just states his force, brute force. So the Hulk defeats him after a big battle, and that's where you get your physical action that the audience wants. And then Ned Nolte's more smarter, and so you gotta take him out a different way, which gets your more emotional ending. Because I do like that part where he's in the water, give me your power, you want it, take it all. So he's letting go. He's letting go his trauma. He's letting go his rage. He's letting go his pain. I don't know why I sound like William Shatner. I need my pain. If you remember Star Trek 5. Which I don't mind Star Trek 5. But I don't mind that because I thought it was a nice kind of nice representation. Yeah, maybe a bit on the nose, but nice representation of letting go of your trauma, and by letting it go, you're able to move on. And then give Nick Nolte a taste of his own medicine. She even goes, "No, let her take it back. It won't stop. Hey, you wanted it. Now all that pain and suffering, that's on you." So I think maybe that should have been something like to have a physical threat and then have Nick Nolte as more of the psychological, spiritual, emotional threat, if that makes sense. But it's weird how it sets it up for a sequel, and the way the movie ends is kind of where the Incredible Hulk begins. So it's like they are connected, but they're not. Do you see little flashes, and that's not? I mean, I always thought that was weird. Like the way this ends, the Incredible Hulk almost wants to say this film is in the same universe, but it's not. But it seems like it, because Edward Norton's in the jungle, just like Edward Bond was in the jungle at the end of this movie. Yeah, I always thought that was kind of weird. Like, well, which is it? I don't think they knew. But I wish that we could have had a sequel to this. I would love to have seen. Now we got the origin out of the way. I would have been curious to see what Ang Lee would have done. Maybe it would have been the turmoil of the id between now the trauma is gone, but you still have the id of this beast maybe wanting to be its own entity. And now you could delve into the Jekyll and Hyde, which I thought we got a little taste in that nightmare when Hulk goes puny human. Maybe we could follow up on that. I think that would be cool. And then, okay, we listen to the feedback. People want a bit more action. We'll give them a bit of that because now we can showcase what the Hulk can do. But again, sadly, that wasn't the case. But yes, despite some flaws, I do really like the film. I do think it's underrated. It is my favorite Hulk film. And I still... I think it deserved better than it got. I don't think it got a fair shake. And it's crazy how so many people talk about how we want something different in movies and superhero movies, and then when they do something different, then... You know, which is a catch-22. Because hell, I mean... There's some stuff they do, like Joker 2 was different. It was a shitty musical and a shitty sequel, but it was different. Being different isn't enough, and again, that's where the subjective part comes in. I like this difference. Not everybody did. And that's all in the eye of the beholder, and that's all we can do with any movie. But, yeah, I like this film. I still do. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.